when you came back home,
Yeah.
what else did you do? Is that when you met your wife?
Oh,
Or when did you meet your wife?
I had my girlfriend before I went into the service. And then she only lived about 4 miles from our farm. She was a farm girl. Only, that's all, yeah. And okay, when I came home, now what? I haven't got no car. I haven't got nothing. So then I got me a little job in town in Napoleon here, working at the Farmers Union Station. And then that went for a while, but then I got tired of that. And then I went visiting here and there a little bit, catching up with visiting. And then, well, then there was my girlfriend. She was waiting for me. She was about 15 miles south and west from here. It was Margaret Schaefer. So we thought we should get married then. That'd probably be the best. But her mother didn't want to let her go. Her mother was a widower, a widow lady, and she was only in the 40s, so that barely, barely 40, I guess. No, she wasn't, maybe 38, 39, her mother. She was a widow lady. And there was just 3 kids. My wife was the oldest. So, okay, so we're going to get married in December. And then...
What was the wedding like?
Okay. Okay. The wedding was the worst day that we could have picked for the year. We decided to get married then, and then my dad talked me out of it. And then my dad said, why do you want to talk me out of it? Well, then my dad said, well, we're getting a baby. And that falls in about that same time. That was my Leo's youngest brother. Leo was born December 27th. Or 26th, 27th. Okay, we're going to get married in January. Oh, my dad says, no, I'm county commissioner, and that's when we have our county commission meetings. Okay, we're going to get married February the 3rd. Okay, February the 3rd. We woke up that morning, February the 3rd, we're getting married that day. And the wind was blowing cold, below zero. And we have to go through that wedding. And there was another couple that got married with us at the same time. That man was also in the service with the same time I was. So we had a double wedding in the country church south of Napoleon here, about 14 miles south here of Napoleon. St. Anthony's was it called, the Catholic church. And my dad was organist. And anyway, that was so cold that home on the farm, he tore the wheel down. That's in the wintertime, February the 3rd, with the wind blowing. That was so cold. And the wedding was in the house in my wife's farmstead. So we could only invite very few people because there was not much room in that house. So my dad got a band and we had a dance, and I guess we thought we had a good wedding. And then I stayed there at my wife's mother's place there for 2 years because she said she didn't want to let her daughter go at least 2 years. And then after that, my dad helped me out on a farm to get started on another farm. And so then we got into the farming. Then eventually we made a FHA loan farmstead, a farm loan, and bought a farm south of Tappan, 12 miles south of Tappan, and we was farming. But the wedding, in the evening at the wedding, we went to town to Napoleon. And we had a pretty good dance, and the wind let up at that time. And that other party, they had the wedding at home too in the daytime. And they didn't come to town because the wind was so bad and the storm was so bad. But we went to town. We had a wedding in town then. So, I don't know, do I explain the wedding good enough? There was old-time music, accordion players, and everybody had fun. That's how it was. All German, of course, you know.
Did you have traditional German Russian meals?
Yes, yes, yes. In those days when there was a wedding, there had to be soup. Soup was one of the things when you had a wedding those days. Noodle soup, chicken noodle soup.
And who would usually make it?
There was somebody was already chosen to do the wedding cooking. But I'm not so certain whether we had soup that day at my wedding. You're the first one to ask me that question. I was so nervous that day that I didn't even remember what I ate. But I remember that was the thing. Soup was the thing when you had weddings on a wedding on noon. Yes, that was part of the tradition. That was, yeah, there was somebody that was cooking. But golly, I guess I'd have to ask my wife, Margaret. You'll have to ask her when you interview her. Yeah.
What was it like living at your mother-in-law's?
Oh, that was all right. It went good. It was all right. 2 years, and even then, after 2 years, I found an empty farm north of Napoleon. I went to my dad, but he wouldn't buy it. My dad was good that way, helping out, and he bought it. I think it was $10 an acre. Pretty nice farm northeast of Napoleon, 7 miles, and then we left. But her mother wasn't happy about it. That she's losing her oldest daughter, leaving the home. And she could always depend on her oldest daughter, on Margaret, for a lot of help on the farm. So that was all right. Then we started out on our own farming. And later on, we made an FHA loan. We went further north and bought a farm and left the farm for my younger brother because the farm belonged to my dad. My dad had bought the farm. That was just 7 miles northeast of Napoleon, where we lived first. See. And then we went further north, 12 miles out of town, made a farm loan. The government loan through the being it was a GI, a veteran. Then I couldn't get a cheaper loan, and then I borrowed money and bought a farm.
What was it like having your own farm?
Oh, that was great. We thought we were, not only we thought, but we knew we were in heaven. That was terrific. That was terrific. Then we could have our own cattle, and we started out from nothing, building on, sort of. And then whenever you got a little bit more, but you were happy. You didn't think much of it, and we both knew how to work, and that's why the German Russian parents left their children. They had to learn how to work, and then we were married 7 years already, and there wasn't really no children came along, so we started talking about it, and we said, "Oh, let's adopt it. Let's adopt a baby," and that happened through the Catholic Welfare Bureau out of Fargo. And then 2 years, we won another one. There were two. Well, now we should have a boy. Okay, finally we got another boy. Okay. Then Margaret thought, we should have another boy. We haven't got no Johnny yet, a John, because of my name. So we applied for a baby. We never heard from the Catholic Welfare Bureau. 5 years went around, passed. Well, that's all right. That's how it's supposed to be. Pretty soon we got a letter, notice. Hey, you still want a baby? Well, yeah, well, sure. Well, what happened or what? They said they found this request, this paper that was shoveled in through the other papers. It fell up behind the desk someplace, and that was lost. They come across it that we had applied for another child. So we got our fourth one. That was Johnny then. Today he lives in Jamestown. And he was very young too, maybe 6 weeks. Then, well, time went on. Then Margaret thought, we should have another one. I said, what? Another one? Okay. Then we had another one. That was after 2 years later or so. That was Bonita. Then we got another little baby. She was a tiny little baby too. So I don't know, maybe a few weeks old. So then I said, enough is enough. 5 is that was the end of our family, and they're all alive today. Some of them children brought us much happiness, and some have brought us grief. But then some of our children were angels, and they made up for the others that brought us grief. So, but all in all, I think it's going to turn out all right. So today we got grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and some nice great-grandchildren. Yeah.
Speaking of children, I'm going to go back to your childhood for just a
Oh,
minute.
my childhood.
What was, in your opinion, your most stressful childhood experience?
Well, we were brought up kind of under stress, I think, and then we didn't know really what we stressed. But then maybe when I was like 15, 16, 14, 15, 16, my older brother, I was the second oldest, my older brother, my dad hired the older brother out to somebody that wanted to help real bad. And then we farmed a lot of land. And my dad had bought a McCormick tractor A, so he did the plowing, and I did the seeding. And I had 6 horses on the drill. And that was stressful, getting up early in the morning and harnessing all them, feeding them horses, and harnessing them up, and going to the fields. Some days it was cold, just like today, maybe, and wet. You had to get that field work done. It was out in the field. And then sometimes till late in the evening. And there was a beacon light not too far from us to the west, about 2 miles west. And pretty soon I seen that beacon light go on. Oh, well, and I knew, well, it's time to go on, to go home, because it was cloudy, and it was starting to get a little dark. So, okay, then you come home, unharness the horses and feeding them, and then you get to bed, and pretty soon in the morning, Ma would hold the broomstick up against the ceiling. We were sleeping upstairs. Time to get up. And then you do the same thing over and over again. That probably, I would say that was the most stressful time. And then come to harvesting, then we had to work everything was done by hand. Pitching sure we had a header that would header it up in the header box, but then you had to pitch it off. And then there was a good crop that one year. It was in the 40s then, see. In the 30s, the land had a lot of rest because nothing grew. And came the early 40s, then it started raining. And finally it started raining. And then we had bumper crops. And that took a lot of work. And then my dad went bindering with a horse, with a Model A, and I had to oversee the headering. I had 2 of my younger siblings who went out to do the headering. I don't know, you know what a header is?
Can you explain it to us?
Now we've got a museum here in town. I'm a director there, and we got a header in there and a header box. We got a lot of this old machinery there. But maybe there's no time to do that. It cuts the grain. You know what a binder is? No, it cuts the grain into it's like 10 feet wide or 12 feet wide, some are a little wider. And then the grain falls on the platform, and there's a canvas that delivers it to the end. And the end there's an elevator, and there's canvases up, and it elevates it up. And then you had to drive with the team, follow along, and then the grain would fall in there. When the box was full, then you would stop, and then you drive up to where you want to unload. Then you made a stack. So the Germans from Russia, they were hard working people. Probably, I should say, other people were too. But anyway, it seemed to me the Germans from Russia, people, they didn't have as much mercy on their kids, because their kids was made to work. And I noticed there was some Norwegian people, if there was anywhere far away or around, they already had the binder. Then you didn't have to do that headering binder, then it would make bundles. See, then it would fall on the ground, and then you would have to shock that, put it in little piles. So anyway, that's about as best as I could explain the headering.
Okay. Well, you mentioned your stressful childhood experience. Did you have a happy?
Happy,
What was
yes.
your happiest childhood memory?
Yes, happy childhood, yes. Oh, yes. My mother's siblings were all living right around our area. 3 miles south of us was St. Joseph's Catholic Church. And that's where my mother was born. And her siblings lived all around there, and they had big families. So whenever there was like a celebration or on a Sunday afternoon, we would go to visit back and forth. And in our church, we had a young people's organization that's called Fidelity, and we would meet there on Sundays and have baseball game and whatnot, put on skits and stuff like that. No, I must say, I had a good, happy childhood.
Do you have,
Really.
does one memory come out to you as happier than others?
Was happier than others.
What was your happiest memory?
My gosh, there you got me stumped again. Well, in our church we put on skits, and I had a good part in there, and I'd like to show a little off and be a good actor. So I was like a star. And we go to different towns, put on those skits, and then we make a little money on this. So that was probably one of my happiest things. Or maybe going back, say I had a pony, a horse. If I could always talk to my horse and go and take a pony and get out, ride out there in the pastures or go someplace with the horse. That was probably my happiest moment when with my horse. Go ride, Flory, yeah. So, and visiting our cousins, and then when you had a name day, then it was a celebration, a church feast festival. There were celebrations, and then I got involved with Farmers Union. We had I was a junior leader for a while. And then we would come together. We would sing all those songs, but those songs were, of course, Farmers Union songs were English and not German. So no, things went pretty good.
What about for holidays? You mentioned Names Day celebrations. What did you do for birthdays?
Oh, birthdays. Nothing. Birthday was just said, happy birthday, if we thought of it. And if it was forgotten, that was all right too. But not a name day. Name day was very, very important. Name day, there was maybe ice cream and cake or something like that. And like my dad's name was John, and December the 27th, people would come there, and they would celebrate St. John's Day. It was like those days when you were baptized, you were always baptized after a saint's name. John, Andrew, Stephen, Benedict, or Valentine, or Anna Mary, or Elizabeth, Clara. It's a lot of, to us, there were a lot of saints' names. There was always enough saints' names that you. Anyway, that's so. Yeah, that was the important thing, was the name day rather than the birthday.
What about Christmas? How did your family celebrate Christmas?
Oh my gosh, that's Christmas. That was oh. I could come along with a story that big, but I don't think time would allow for Christmas story. Oh, Christmas was nice. Christmas was good. Even though our parents didn't have much money to buy things for us, but that's all right. I remember getting a harmonica. Maybe a harmonica those days cost 10 cents. And I learned to play the harmonica. And I've got a whole bunch of harmonicas. I play the harmonicas today yet. Anyway, before, well, Christmas, Santa Claus, Christkindl would come December the 24th in the evening. And being we lived in that all vicinity, all the family, relatives, they would come by team and bring the Christkindl to our house, and they would go to house. There was like a girl, and she would not be very tall, and she would have like a gown over the top, and it looked like a Christkindl, would means like baby Jesus. Well, Christkind, you know what Christkind? Christ child, Christkind. And then, but you'd have to see a picture of this. I got brothers that have pictures of this. And then they would come into the front room, and we would all be sitting on a chair. And then there was the donkey come along too. It was a donkey head, about that big. And somebody was behind that, but you didn't see the person. It looked like a donkey. And they would come in the front room, and then my mom would bring the basket. This is for John, or this is for the next one. Then we'd have to go and get it. And the Christkindl had her arm out. She had a willow, like a willow, like a little branch of a willow, And then Ma or Dad would say, "No, he was naughty. Let him have it." And or then they would come with a little toy here. That's John's. Then they have to go up and get it. They would put it out right in front of the Christkindl. And once in a while, the ugly Belsenigel would come along. How would be the name for the Belsenigel of the English? He would have a log chain, and he would drag you away if you were naughty. But none of us ever got dragged away. One time he came in, put the chain on me, pulled me out to the entry, and he was going to take me away and throw me a deep hole. But then the chain came off, and I got away. So that's about what it was then. And then, of course, that was Christmas Eve. That was 24th. On the 20, and that night we had like a midnight mass. We'd have to get ready to go to church for midnight mass. That was at 12 o'clock. We had 4 miles to go to midnight mass. So we'd never missed midnight mass. And we'd come home from church midnight, maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, and then we have lunch, and then we go to bed. And that was the start of Christmas. And then there was celebrations for the next few days. It was all celebrations. We go to the uncles and aunts and cousins, and they would come and visit us. And that was the happiest moment. That was also happiest moments was Christmas time.
And what about Easter? Did your family celebrate Easter?
Yeah, yes. I want to mention one more thing about Christmas.
Sure.
And usually by that time in December, the sky is red from the sun going down, then the sky shows pink, orange. And then they would say the Christ child is baking cookies. Oh, today Christ child is really baking cookies. The sky is pink and orange. And well, how do they come down from heaven? Well, 3 miles out of it is a church. But we couldn't see it. It was behind the hills. So they have a long ladder, and they come down there on the top of the church, and they crawl down. That's how they come. That's how Christkindl came to us. And, okay. Now, how was Easter like? Well, Easter was not that much there, but usually a week before Easter, us kids would go out. And then we come across, we find an Easter egg, or a nest of maybe 2 or 3 eggs laying there, Easter eggs, colored eggs. And then it was said, "Oh, the Easter bunny is around. He's around. He's checking whether you're good or not." Well, then you come the evening before Easter Sunday, and then we'd make our baskets and set the baskets out. And the next morning, each basket had eggs and candy and peanuts and all that. So that was Easter.
And what about the 4th of July? Did your family celebrate the 4th of July at all?
Once in a while, yeah. There was a store. Our church had a grocery store, and they would have celebrations there. We'd go there, and then you could buy ice cream, and you had a little pistol, little where it would well, I don't know how would you call that a little pistol with little you get a roller that's a gunpowder, then you put it in there, and that would roll up, and then go ping, 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 ping,
Popguns?
popping. Yeah. So that's about it. And then later on, once in a while we would go to Linton. To Linton, they had celebrations there at 4th of July, and then we'd celebrate a little bit there. Whatever they had, they used to have a parade. That was a big thing. And in what town? Not every town celebrated 4th of July. I don't know. Did Napoleon celebrate 4th of July? Yes, I do remember 4th of July one time. Come to Napoleon. But that was no big thing for us.
What was the most adventurous thing you did in your childhood?
Most interesting thing.
Adventurous.
Oh, adventurous as a child. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my adventure. The most adventurous thing. Well, we certainly didn't get far away from home. So most adventurous was when I got into the service, because we never got away from home, and got away like that. That's where you might say homesickness could strike in, right, because you never was away from home, and especially like on a Sunday, especially during basic training when you had leisure time, you went to church or you went to the PX to buy ice cream, and then you had leisure time, and then you would get homesick. But other than the most exciting thing, maybe catching those gophers, and the next thing was catching those live skunks, and taking them skunks home alive without getting sprayed all over. I remember one time riding home with a horse and had the skunk holding on the tail out like this. And if you held the skunk on the tail, they could not spray. But if they got your feet, touch the feet anywhere, then you got it. Maybe that was one of my adventurous things. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to think of some more adventurous things. But right now, well.
Well, is there anything else about your childhood memories that you would like to add
Oh,
that you can think of right now?
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder how we would ride away with a horse in the night, and our folks didn't even know where we went. There was no cell phone. You wonder if the horse would have stumbled, we would have been laying out there in the prairie someplace. They would have never known where we were. I think that was quite an adventure, but and we did ride out pretty far sometimes with the horses. And I rode my horse over to Margaret, my girlfriend. That was about 3.5 miles maybe. That was adventurous, visiting my girlfriend. Well, one time I got to Jamestown to the Farmers Union camp, and that was interesting. It was adventurous. That was before I got into the service. But,
Well, in conclusion.
what's that?
In conclusion.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's important to tell your life story?
I really want to thank you. I really want to thank you for coming out here and and doing this, because that'll be interesting. I think after I'm gone, hopefully it's for my children or for my grandchildren. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, growing up the way we grew up, we didn't know any different. And growing up in a poor environment, we didn't know any different. I guess we had a lot of happy moments. Only some of my younger siblings got to go to high school. And when you went to high school, you were expected to make something of it. You didn't just go to high school. And so I got a brother that's a priest. He's out there by Grand Forks. Then I got a brother out there in Richardson. He's a monk out there. He's having his 50th Jubilee now, coming on the 27th of June. We'll be going out there. And so then I got brothers all over, down in Georgia, down in Arizona, then in Napoleon, North Dakota, and Bismarck. I don't know where else yet. I'd have to think. But I hate to miss some important event. After tomorrow, I'm going to say, oh, I forgot this, or I forgot that. Yes. But I appreciate you coming out here and doing this here. I'm sure that takes extra effort. And now that we had rain, I don't think that we could attempt to go out to the farm where we raised our family, or the farm is not too far where I grew up, because with the flood that we had, with all the snow and all the water, and some of them roads that they, when there was washouts, they put dirt on. They haven't even got gravel on yet, so it's maybe not the best thing to do that, probably.
Well, any other things you want to add before we stop this tape?
Oh, my number one hobby is them German Russian songs. And if you have a little time, I'd like to show you what I have, them German Russian songs. And I like to leave a legacy of this here, and I, in the meantime, had been teaching to our young people to learn them German songs. And that is actually my number one hobby, is doing them songs. They're not all German. I sing some English song too, but I'm sure there are some things that I would have liked to have told you, but I forgot. Unless you wanted to go down to the museum and see some of the old machinery that we worked on at one time when I grew up. But I can't say that I had just too bad of a memories from home, because my mother was extremely kind, and my dad, I thought, was pretty hard at times. So that evened things out, for me. And I was the second oldest, so we had to work some of the very, very, very hard. So my younger brother, sometimes wants to tell me something about his parents or this or that. Then I tell my younger brother, it's 22 years younger, or the other one 21 years younger. Then I tell him, I knew your parents 21 years before you ever knew them. And it's true, though. I grew up when my parents were young. Can you imagine? When I got married, that was in 1947. My dad was 47 years old. My mother was 39 years old. They were young yet. And my mother got to live to see 4 of her children celebrating their 50th wedding anniversaries. 4 of them, yeah. My older brother and my 2 younger sisters celebrating the 50th wedding anniversaries. My mother would say, you guys are getting old, my mother would say. But then my mother was 101, or just about 101 when she passed away, and her mind was good. And my dad was 86, and his mind was also good. But he got cancer, and that took him then.
What kind of cancer?
Well, it started, I think it started in the stomach, then it was colon cancer. And he could have had surgery. And he said, no, I don't want to go through that no more. I'm old enough, sort of. He was 86 when he died. And his dad was 86. And my great-grandfather was 92. Going back, see, my parents were born in North Dakota, right around where we lived. But my dad's dad had to serve the Russian army for 5 years before he could get discharged. And then he came home from the furlough. Well, that was South Russia. See, our people all came from South Russia. And then he said to his parents, things are so bad, you better leave. And then my great-grandparents was John Gross. He's buried in Balda. Then he said, well, no, we don't want to go before you come out of the service. Then he said, no, you go. And when I get discharged from the army, I'm going to find my way. So my great-grandparents came with their siblings, but most of them already were married, had families already. So and that was in 1884. And then in 1894, my great-grandparents came. In 1897, my grandpa came then. See, my grandpa Gross. See, and then of course he was single guy yet because he served in the Russian for 5 years, and he was already getting up to 30 years old, something like that. And then he met my grandmother, married her. That's on the Gross side. And the vetters, my mother was a vetter, and they also came from South Russia, which most of the people around here did, I'm sure. And they came in 1888 to America. They left everything in the home Russia, in Russia there, and going on the ship. And, well, that's probably another story about how they had adapted to this culture. And there were some people living here from the east. Our people called them Yengiz, but they were English-speaking people, and most of them left back and went east again because there was such harsh climates around here. In the summertime, there was hot and prairie fires, and they didn't think this could ever be settled, this area here through the Midwest here. But they took the Germans from Russia through here, and they made something out of it. And a lot of our people later on went to Canada. We got a lot of relatives in Canada, and some went west. And pretty soon you found out 1 or 2 or 3 quarters wasn't enough no more what they could homestead. And it was the homestead that brought them over here. There was some land agents that would come there and to Russia and entice the people to come over here. And it was opened by Abraham Lincoln, and they brought the people here. They settled here, and today we can be so thankful that our people came and left Russia, because after that things went bad in Russia, very, very bad. The people got shot and or those that lived were sent to Siberia and all that. That's another story. You probably know more, just as much as I do on that. I'm very much involved with the Children of Russia Society, so very much, for years already. So that's probably all, unless you have a special question you would like to ask me.
All right, John, what have you got to play for us here today?
Okay. Why I'm doing this particular song, is called Im Friar. It's in the springtime. It's the very, very first song that I had to learn from standing beside the organ when my dad was playing the organ. I don't know, maybe it was 5 or 6 years old. And this particular song, as I recall, this was the very first song that I ever learned as a little kid. And that's why I'm playing this. That means in frio, there I will go out in the fields in time. And I like to observe the birds. My brother, he likes fishing. And I don't care for fishing. But if you go fishing, you got to stand all day to go fishing. And here, I think this is a better deal to go out in the field and you observe the birds. Im Frühjahr ging ich bei Zeuden, mit dem Springen wohl hinaus auf das Feld und da hab ich die herrlichste Zeuden. Mein Zwickel fangen mir gar so gefällt und da hab ich die herrlichste Zeuden. Mein Zwickel fangen mir gar so gefällt. Mein Bruder hat Freude an den Vögel und muss ja den ganzen Tag stehen und möchte mich auch gerne erwischen, dass ich mit dem Fischen soll gehen. Und möchte mich auch gerne erwischen, dass ich mit dem Fischen soll gehen. Wegen dem fangen wir Fischen oder egal. Und es liegt ja uns beide nichts an, weil ich hab ja mein Freude an den Vögel. Und es geht ja kein anderer nichts an, weil ich hab ja mein Freude an den Vögel. Und es geht ja kein anderer nichts an.
And what was that you were playing, John?
This is called a Q chord. And it's really an instrument that I find it very easy to play. I wanted to learn guitar, but then my fingers wouldn't reach around no more. Then I've seen this at the music store, and I thought that works ideal for, instead of holding strings, you can just push the key here, whichever you want. Q chord. It's called Im Wald und auf der Heide, out in the forest and out in the meadows. I love to go hunting, and and I take my dog along, and I find that the very peaceful life to be out in the fields. And I take my tobacco along and a little snip of whiskey. And I'll have that occasionally. And I just love to go out in the field with my dog and forget about the world. Im Wald und auf der Heide, da such ich meine Freude. Ich bin ein Jägersmann, ich bin ein Jägersmann. Die Forsten treu zu hegen, das Wildbret zu erlegen. Mein Lust hab ich daran, mein Lust hab ich daran. Heili, heilo, heili, heilo, mein Lust hab ich daran, mein Lust hab ich daran. Trag ich in meiner Tasche ein Trinklein in der Flasche, ein Stückchen schwarzes Brot, ein Stückchen schwarzes Brot. Brennt lustig meine Pfeife, wenn ich den Forst durchstreife, heart is keine Not, the heart is keine Not. Heili, heilo, heili, heilo, the heart is keine Not, the heart is keine Not.
Thank you. John, what are you going to play for us?
It's another love song. It's about this gal. She just doesn't give me no rest, and she's been bothering me all the time. And even if I go sleeping, she pokes around at me. It's kind of a silly song. The Germans from Russia had a lot of those songs. Some were war songs, some were love songs, some were wedding songs, some were drinking songs, and this is probably a drinking song. Kind of a silly song.
John, what are you going to play for us now?
I'm going to play you a song called Muss ich denn zum Städtelein Haus. Do I have to then go out of the town, and you, my sweetheart, have to stay here, but I'll be back again to you. And it's a medley. It's the same as Wooden Heart, and I think Wooden Heart came from this German number, because a lot of American songs came from other countries, because America is a new country, and a lot of them songs stem from the German medleys, and this is one of them.
All right, John, we're going to listen to you play some music here. What have you got for us?
Well, I do have a lot of songs, but I play this one number. It's a song that's over 200 years old. Most of them songs are old German songs that were brought along from our people to America. In the first place, they were brought from Germany to Russia. And when they came to America, they brought them songs along, and a lot of them they're not even with notes. It's just brought along by mouth and by ear. So this song is at least over 200 years old. It's about a song that was between Germany and France. It's called "Wir sitzen so fröhlich beisammen. We're sitting so happily together." But then the war will disrupt our freedom, and if only Napoleon, he was the emperor at that time, would have stayed in France, he would have had the nicest crown or throne. And so this is what the song is all about. Wir sitzen so fröhlich beisammen und haben einander so lieb. Wir wünschen einander das Leben, ei, wenn es nur immer so blieb. Wie kann es nur immer so bleiben, hier unter den Wechsel des Manns? Der Krieg muss den Frieden vertreiben, im Krieg wird ja keiner nicht verschont.
All right. Do you have any others that you would like to play for us?
Du liegst mir im Herzen, it's a love song. You do lie in my heart, you do bring me sorrow, and I'm so glad to know you, and I love you. Du liegst mir im Herzen, du liegst mir im Sinn, du machst mir viel Schmerzen, weiß nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. Ja, 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 weiß nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. Ja, 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 weiß nicht, wie gut ich dir bin. So wie ich dich liebe, so lieb du auch mich. Der zärtlichsten Treppe fiel ich allein nur für dich. Ja, 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 fiel ich allein nur für dich. Ja, 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 fiel ich allein nur für dich.
What is this song, John?
Wir sitzen so fröhlich beisammen. It's a song that's over 200 years old. That's a song that's not even be sung no more in Germany. A lot of them songs are not sang in Germany anymore because they're so old. But it's already 200 years where our people left their country, Germany, and they brought those songs along with them to Russia, like any other thing they took along with them. And when they came to America, they brought them songs along, and a lot of them didn't even have to know it's with them no more. So they've always been carried down and being sung yet as of today. Those German, what we call them, Germans from Russia songs. But even though they're German, but our people lived for 100 years or so in Russia first before they came to America. Wir sitzen so fröhlich beisammen und haben einander so lieb. Wir wünschen einander das Leben, ei, wenn es nur immer so blieb. Wir wünschen einander das Leben, ei, wenn es nur immer so blieb. Wie kann es nur immer so bleiben, hier unter den Wechsel des Manns? Der Krieg muss den Frieden vertreiben. Im Krieg wird ja keiner nicht verschont. Der Krieg muss den Frieden vertreiben. Im Krieg wird ja keiner nicht verschont.